So last time I ranked every Zelda heart piece, and that was an ordeal. This time I'm here with a much smaller list of just every non-boss Zelda heart container, which really only comes from about 5 games, being Zelda 1, Adventure of Link, technically Minish Cap, Spirit Tracks, and Phantom Hourglass, so a very short list. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's start. First up, we have the heart container from Minish Cap. There is an interesting way this goes about. So, Minish Cap has so many heart pieces, most of which are locked behind Kinstone fusions. But interestingly enough, they chose to add one heart container in the overworld. This heart container is also behind Kinstone fusions. However, as much as I don't really like the Kinstone fusions, this one's actually, I think, really good. Maybe not S, maybe A. So basically how this one works is that after you've opened the Dark Hyrule Castle and you leave to go get other things you know about, you have to fuse with one Minish 3 times, and it's a Minish that's just kind of all alone in the Minish village, just hiding away in a corner. And everything he gives you is really good, but it's amazing how the first one makes it very obvious, hey, there's some interesting bomb things. Second one, I honestly don't remember. And then the third one, where it just makes a singular hole in Lake Hylia that looks very unsuspicious, just right next to the warp point. And yet after you go through it, and it's a surprisingly long cave, it's several screens wide, you have to dodge rolling spikes, though I mean at this point you just jump over everything. And on the other side is Librari, who you saw much, much earlier to get the flippers. And he's like, hey, the hell did you get here for? Nice to see you visit. Have a heart container. And it's completely unexpected, and I really like it. Anyway, next up would be the various heart containers of Phantom Hourglass, in which I believe there's 6 non-boss ones, if I'm doing my math right. And the first of them is a shop heart container. And I really don't like this one. So the game has 3 major sets of shops. You have the ones that are on islands, and they're shared between the various islands you visit. You have Beetle Shop, and then to continue the mask shop that is in Wind Waker, they made the masked ship here. Except finding him is annoying. He charges you, I want to say, 1,500 rupees for this heart container, which it's a better deal than another one later. However, he is only available, I want to say, after, what is it? I want to say 10 p.m. on weekdays until, like, noon. And then I want to say that that switches around on weekends. So he's got this weird time window. And it can honestly be inconvenient the first time playing, either because you just happen to not be playing during those times, or you don't, if you're unaware, you don't know to I should change my internal clock to make him show up. So it's a very out of the way one. I mean, once you see the ship shop, or the mask shop, you'll know, but also there's the chance that you see it, and you don't have the money, because it's a lot of money, and the first time you can see it is, before you actually have the source of a lot of money. So you might see it and be like, oh, I know this exists, and then because you don't know it's tied to the internal clock, you end up just not seeing it for a while, and you're just holding on to this money, holding on to these rupees to buy a heart container that you don't know where it is. Next up is another one that I really don't like, but it's nowhere near as bad as the golden ship shop. Yeah, that is fishing, and fishing is, I think, a C. So the issue I have with fishing is it requires, I think the quest to it is too long, and it's for a heart container, so it is a good reward. But the way the quest works is, once you get to Banana Island, you talk to, you do this whole sequence to get to talk to the Wayfarer, I want to say that's what he's called. And once you do, you get a a fishing rod. I mean, you get a few other things on the way, but it's the sequence of you have to go there, you have to go out and fish, which, that's fair. I think it's an interesting way to do the fishing on the ocean. It's really fun. You have to catch a bunch of unique kinds of fish, go back to them, and then catch another fish, go back to, get to no specific fish, go back to him, and then he'll mention Neptuna. And Neptuna, I think I would be able to, like, at least put this up to B if it wasn't for the fact that Neptuna isn't only, like, difficult to catch, but it's that it's difficult to catch up to when you're sailing the sea. And so it can just take such a long time to get this heart container, and there's so many times where you will go up to, oh, I think this is Neptuna, and it's a swordfish, and it's a swordfish, and it's a swordfish. You'll see so many rusty swordfishes just trying to find the Neptuna that I think it drags on for too long. I wish this and the Great Spin Attack had swapped locations, because then I think I would like it more. Next up is another heart container that's available at the exact same time as fishing. There's various NPC boats throughout the ocean in each quadrant of the world, and in the Northwest, there is the guy who rides the Prince of Red Lions. And he's very blatantly just kind of making fun of Wind Waker Link. I mean, you're playing Wind Waker Link, but it's just kind of, this jokey form of him. And he trains you, and you can get this one real quick. It's slightly annoying because you have to keep going back and forth onto his ship. But he's set up so that he's like a daily thing anyway. A lot of the NPC ships are. So you go back and forth on his ship like the first day you can get to him. And eventually he'll give you a test of hit me, as many times as you can. And you can cap out the hits on 999 if you want. But unlike Orca from Wind Waker, instead of being, 500 hits to get the heart piece, this is just a simple 100. And I think for the more weird kind of control style, that really fits Phantom Hourglass. Yeah, Phantom Hourglass. And it just makes it work. So I don't think this is a great one. I just think it's like a fair B. Next up is the target shooting minigame. I don't really like this one. I think it can be fun. Like, I would say C. I think it can be fun, but it can also be frustrating to get used to, especially if you end up... You have to learn the weird shot timing, but you can very easily be screwed over by repeatedly shooting the wrong, like... So the way it works is they slide on and they flip, your targets do, and most of them are ghosts. And until you learn the secret of there's only ever one girl, and if you shoot the girl you lose points, once you learn the secret that there's only ever one girl, and so you can actually track where the girl is by when one goes off the screen, the next target to spawn will be a girl again, so you don't accidentally shoot too early and just ruin your score. But up until you figure that out, it's not that great. Next up is another shop heart container, but it suffers from a very different issue. Now, this one it's a D, like easily, before even evaluating it. It takes too much money. So the thing is, this heart container costs 2,000, which means the Golden Ship Shop is giving you a discount. Now, to be fair, by the time you can get this, you do have access to the big money source where you could sell your treasures and ship parts. But the catch here is, while it may cost 2,000, it actually costs 4,000 rupees, because you have to burn through the other things that show up in that item slot. Now, this is fine because, like, it's not that bad, because you're still getting a quiver upgrade, and you get a bomb chew bag upgrade, so those are, like, still useful things, but it's that you have to burn through, but it's more so the process of, like, burning through them that requires you to spend basically half of your maximum wallet to get this one heart container. And I'll admit, every heart container deserves to have some more, like, it should take more time to get to it than just a simple thing like how most heart pieces are, because, well, no individual heart piece gives you your reward instantly. Instead, you need all of them. So it's understandable it takes so much, but I just think this one being all the money in the world is, it just, sharp heart pieces and sharp heart containers already aren't that high for me, so this just makes it worse. Next up is one that I enjoy a lot, as difficult as it is. So this heart container is an actual challenge to get, but I think it's a well-designed challenge. So one of the islands you find in the southeast quadrant is Maze Island. The gimmick of Maze Island is, well, it's a maze. You talk to a statue, set it up, and you have three difficulties. There's 4 items on the island, one's just hidden. And you have to run around and hit these different statues to light up, you have to light up all these different statues in your time limit to make the chest spawn. You have to get to the chest. The gimmick is that every difficulty adds 4 more statues you have to hit. I want to say it's actually easy and medium don't share any statues, but the expert shares is all 12 from the previous 2. So you have to learn how to navigate this island really well, and it requires you to understand how it is shaped, what can you do fast, what can you do efficiently. You have to learn how the statues are, and I think it's an interesting process to repeat. Now, the bad thing is, of course, every run costs you so much rupees, and you don't get a reward for making progress, which that's a good thing a lot of other minigames get. But I don't mind it because you get to learn through the different difficulties you have to do. And then also, the island itself has a little bonus chest, but that's not really matter as far as this heart container is. So you end up having to do the minigame 3 times, but I just enjoy the minigame. I enjoy, learning how to go through Maze Island quickly. Next up is the start of Spirit Tracks. So the first heart container you're able to get in Spirit Tracks, or non-boss, whatever, is the... I do not remember the name of it. It is a gauntlet. There's 3 different challenges, but at this point you only have access to the easiest one, and it's just 9 floors of enemies, and you actually can refight the first boss. And I do like when you can refight bosses, and the whole minigame lets you, but the fact that, it's another minigame that is set up to where you're like, do I really want to, take my time with this? It's just a lot of fighting. And the first one shows you, hey, this can be worth it. Because you get a heart container for your effort. And, I don't know, I think the only downside, I think it's an A, I don't think it's great, is if you do it when it's first available, and I mean you're going to because it's kind of just on the way, you end up fighting the first boss, immediately after you've killed it. Because you basically set up you've beat the first boss, you're on your way back to the Tower of Spirits, and on the way, you stop by, Hyrule Castle Town, and you immediately do this and have to fight the first boss again. So I think, spacing-wise, it kind of sucks. Maybe if it had the heart container in the second set, it would feel more spaced out, because this is the only time you have to do it for real permanent things. But overall, I think it's fine. I think it being the early reward is fine. It's an alright thing. A decent test of, actual combat. The one after that is the weirdest area in the game. And that is the Rabbit Sanctuary. So the Rabbit Sanctuary's gimmick is that once you get there, and you get the rabbit catching net, you have to destroy rocks that you see rabbits are hiding behind, and I think the rabbits are cute. And then you have to catch them by tapping the screen, and basically you have to guess ahead on where they're going to go. Now, I don't mind this heart container itself, because this is 5 rabbits. It is a early reward. It's not like the fishing from Phantom Hourglass, where you have to, go take such a long step to get this. And there is still a reward for getting all of the rabbits. I want to say it's the, Great Spin Attack. But this one is just a, you get on your way to, what's it called? The snow region, you're like, hey, find some rabbits, see this dude in a very weird costume, gives you a thing, and then you just come back on your way, come back later after you found some rabbits, and he's like, hey, thank you for doing so, have money, so you get paid for every rabbit anyway, and then just a nice little heart container as an added bonus. I think it's good early. So this is another A. I really like this one. Next up is, I still think this one's a B. It's basically the same thing as the Phantom Hourglass version of like do 100 hits. However, the upsides to this is I think you have access to this like the moment you have access to this after the second dungeon, I want to say, and you can do it pretty fast actually. Like you don't have to. Comparing it to the Phantom Hourglass one, Phantom Hourglass you have to keep walking off and on his boat to talk to him and get access to it. But so it takes a while to set up. This one's downside is it costs some money to do the minigame, but it's not that bad. And I think it kind of helps that it's more interesting in that you have 3 targets you have to manage instead of just one. So you just have to get 100 hits divided amongst the targets, doesn't matter how. However, you have to actually pay attention to all 3 to make sure you don't get hit, because you get hit 3 times, get kicked out. Next up is another shop heart container. This one is, how much money is this? This one is 2,000, and can be bought from the Snow Sanctuary, which is, so okay, this one's weird. So it's another shop one, so I already don't like it. Like I said, I don't like the shop ones. But it's also a very awkwardly placed shop. So the Snow Sanctuary itself isn't, like, badly positioned. But it's just that all of these sanctuaries in the game are places that are very, like, one-and-done trips. For the most part. There's an exception to the Ocean Sanctuary. But it's such a weird thing to have to come back to the sanctuary. I'll admit, the sanctuary itself is not out of the way. It's kind of in the middle of the snow area, which helps. But it's such a strange placement for a shop in general. But oh well, it's still cheaper than having to spend 4,000 to get another one from just a land shop or whatever. So it's on the better side. Next up is, okay, this one is another terrible heart container. So this heart container is a mini game that I don't feel it controls well. So basically, after you've beaten the Ocean Temple, the way the boss there works is you open with, you climb up this temple, and it's a very, very tall temple. When you step out, you start the boss fight having to climb up this, the island you're on, because you enter it from the ocean, so you've not even made it to the top by the time you've reached the top of the temple itself. So you're swinging on various ledges to get to the top, but I don't think the whip controls well. So this one is based on that. It's a mini game out in the middle of the woods where you have to climb up this very strange, like strangely shaped structure. The issue I have with it is mostly just the whip controls, where sometimes it just doesn't want to, it feels like it doesn't want to grab. I feel like it's not intuitive, and it can also have some issues with like camera turning, where you could be in a right spot, but it just won't allow you because you just didn't step an extra like footstep to get the camera to turn as it needed. So I think it's just a very, very poor minigame, and getting the actual time for it is, I mean, it's possible, but I think it's still a little frustrating. Next up is my favorite minigame from Spirit Tracks. Brain died for a second. This minigame, I love. Like I said, it's my favorite. I love it. The gimmick to this minigame is you go to this prison island, and you have to break out. Initially, you have to break out this random old man from this pirate hideout, and the story for the old man is sad. However, after you've saved him and gotten him back home, you get to play this mini game to essentially, how do you put this? You have to do a breakout, but it's a very weird breakout. So you first enter and you see, I want to say it's two people keep repeatedly getting kidnapped. Might be two Gorons. I cannot remember who. I don't think it's Gorons. I don't remember who's locked up. But you go in, friends locked up, and you just start mowing down moblins. And it is, I don't know, it's just fun to shoot the bow repeatedly and with good accuracy. Uh, as you go through, you're gunning them down. Eventually, you've shot down the first wave, and you get to the minecart section, where you just hop on a minecart, and you just start shooting well as these various minecarts just come out of different ways trying to get you. And I don't know, I just find it so fun and like smooth. It feels like it controls really well. I really like how minecart and bow gameplay mixed together. I don't know, I think it's so good. Next up is a... I want to like this one, because it uses an item I do enjoy, but getting to this one's kind of frustrating. So there's a bunch of stations that are from some of the last Force Gems you get, which the Force Gems are gotten by doing various random quests. And this one is, I want to say, the worst station to get to. So it's called Ends of the Earth Station. And it is... Okay, no. I'm checking in. This is not the one I was thinking of. It's related to different things. So, how this works is that you have 3 different sand puzzles you get to do, and they have different things. One of them has money, one of them has the heart container, one has a regal ring. I don't remember the puzzle itself, but honestly, I don't mind these puzzles. It's just using the sand rod to flip these blocks. So, I mean, it to some extent isn't really much of a sand rod puzzle, more of just a block rotating puzzle, which is a very Oracle game type thing. But I find that they're all just kind of... It's a very relaxing puzzle to do. And I don't think it's that really difficult to fully figure out how these puzzles work. I think, they could be a little frustrating at times, especially, if you don't fully know how block rotation works. I'm going to be a little lighter than I initially thought because, like I said, I had to confirm this is the right station. There's various Force Gems you have to get, and just confirming real quick that, that this Force Gem is not the quest I'm thinking. There's one quest I don't like, but I don't think this is it. Yeah, no, never mind. This is just delivering some cocos for Rael, which is one of the sand whatever guy. The sand Locomo? I think that's what they're called. Yeah, so never mind. This is not as bad as I was thinking. This is just a B. Simple Laku puzzles. Next up is, like I said, I don't like shop heart containers, but this one is at least a C. It is the most expensive heart container. However, it is better simply because you never buy the heart container. They make it very clear the first time you see Beetle. You can see the background, you can see in the image. There's a heart container on his shelf in the back. It's not a prize it's not something you have to pay for. Instead, it's a prize for having the membership. And since he is the main shop in the game, it's not that bad. You just have to basically spend 5,000 rupees equivalent on stuff at his shop. And with him having treasures, I think he also might have prize postcards you can buy, which you kind of want. You need to spend some time to get the heart container, so it's not I'm not going to say it's good, but I'm going to say for a shop heart container, it's tolerable. Yeah, it's alright. You get some coupons on the way, so it's comparable to the heart container on the land shops from Phantom Hourglass, simply because you're not spending, you're not just getting the heart container. But I mean, like I said, it's still a shop. It's just the best shop of the various heart containers that are in shops. Next up is Zelda 1. Zelda 1's heart containers are very... So I've decided I'm only doing the first quest ones. I'm not doing the 3 different ones that are in the second quest, just because they're honestly not that much different. Still a little more difficult to get to. So the first one is... It is a random wall that you have to bomb. Now, I do like this one because it is very easy to get. Like, you can get it on the way, like, or not even on the way. You can get it within the first few minutes of playing. It is, what, I want to say 4 screens east of where you start. You just need to get some bombs to drop, and then you just bomb this wall, you get it. I can't really, this is Zelda 1, you can't really say, like, if you don't know anything as a punishment, because everything in Zelda 1 is meant to be hidden, and it requires you to explore the world. And so these being hidden isn't really that bad. So this one's, it's a cheap one, easy to get, or it's also free. I also don't understand why they give the option to get red medicine, so thereby locking yourself out of the heart container forever, but it's a design decision. This is the first Zelda game. Of course, it's gonna have some flaws. So honestly, I think it's an A. It's just right there at the beginning, real quick. Help set you up if you want to get, the first, or get the second sword pretty fast. Next up is a similar one. It's another one you have to bomb. However, this one is also going to be an A. It's not as close to where you start in the game. However, if you're, going to get the second sword before you do the first dungeon, it just lines up so well from the previous one. So you've gotten bombs from that previous heart container, and you just go north some screens. You go north 5 screens, east 1 screen, right here, bomb the rock. And this one, it's, I think, less hidden because it's a rock in the middle of the screen rather than just being a random wall. But you bomb it, get a heart container, and you're pretty close to where the, I want to say the place you have to go to get the second sword from this point. So, I don't know, it sets up to be a nice, quick way to get the second sword. Next up is the candle hidden one. Candle you just need to find and purchase. Worst case, you get the candle from D7. It's alright. I'd say it's slightly lower than the rest just because it's a little annoying to find. So the other two have things that make them suspicious, like one of them is a flat wall, but it's basically the only part of that wall that is flat. The other one is just this very, suspicious looking rock. This one is just on a screen that is filled with bushes on the bottom. And if you have the blue candle, you can only burn one thing per screen. So you have to keep resetting the screen if you want to check every bush. But once you know it, it's not that bad. It's still honestly basically on the way to the first dungeon. You just gotta, go to the one of the shops to get the blue candle. Not that bad. The next two are not hidden shops. Shop's a weird way to describe it. That's what it is. Instead, they are just on the overworld. Well, actually, this one might still be a shop. I just know... I can't remember. But this one is... It's just a... one of the few places where the raft actually gets some use, which is pretty nice. For the whole game. I honestly think this one is another A. It's just, you see this raft at what is essentially one of the most northeast portions you can go to. It's not the northeast corner, but it is still pretty up there. It's a screen, you'll notice there's a screen you are unable to get to, but except for this raft spot, ride it, get there, go into the cave there, get your stuff, or get your heart container. Next one is one that is very blatantly on screen, and I actually really like that about it. When you're exploring the world, you go on the east coast, You walk up and you just see, oh look, there's a heart container in the middle of the ocean. Neat. Eventually, when you get to the step ladder, it's an actual like, oh hey, I know I can use this to navigate one tile gaps. I remember there being a heart container that was that had two one tile gaps, that you need to get across to get to it. And so it's just, oh, I remember seeing this. Let me go get it. It's there. It's out of the way, or it's not out of the way. It's just like, I don't know. It's just designed well. Finally, we have the 4 Zelda 2 heart containers, which the weird stats in Zelda 2, or, Adventure Link is, I don't know, it just adds an extra chunk. It's a little strange. This first one I really like because it's pretty straightforward. When you're exploring, through the area, you might go south from, what is it? You go south from, like, the first palace, I want to say, and there's a very suspicious looking tile because it's this one plane surrounded by all these forests you can see. Obviously, none of these are, this is just marking where they are. It's not actually how they are. And so you see this and you're like, oh, that's a very strange looking tile. And so you walk onto it and you get, your reward. So I like that. It's clear on where it is, simple, extra health. Next one is honestly another one I really like. It's very similar. It's from where you start on almost, where once you've gotten the hammer, you saw a rock at the very beginning of the game, basically. You break it, and then you're exploring around, you see another rock blocking a cave, so you go into it and you just follow the cave. So it's, it just rewards you for, hey, you should go break that rock you saw at the very beginning of the game. The last two I don't like. So they're not as, I would say these both are D tier for a very similar reason. So once you've gained the the boots which you walk on water, it's just a random screen north of the palace. There's nothing really like indicating, hey, you should check this. So, I don't know, it doesn't, and the second one's very similar. It's just in the middle of this desert, there's a random tile just on the coast. I think the other two in this game are much, much better designed compared to this. But yeah, that is every heart container not tied to a boss in the entirety of the Zelda series. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe, like, whatever you want to do. Have a good day, night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Until next time, bye.